there was a guy who was creeping around because we were doing music production, and he was called Bimble. Now, I met this guy, I think in the Volks. He was one of these guys who was a disc jockey, you know, so someone who wanted to be part of music, was never good at doing music, so still wants to be a pop star. So, oh, I know, these days you can just put a record on and press play and put your fingers in the air like this and pretend that you're actually doing something, and still act like a pop star and get all the credit of being a pop star. So Bimble was a DJ. He was also a wannabe record owner or record label owner or record producer. He'd put out a compilation album of white reggae music, or music produced by white people with renter blacks on top of it, under the name New Shoots in Our Roots. So it was a black talk title, a patois black way of talking for the title, but it was a white man behind it, and most of the music producers on it were white. I can't remember who was on it. I know that he licensed one tune. He did a vocal album and a dub album, and of the same tunes. And one tune was licensed from Goldmaster Allstars, and I played rhythm guitar on that tune. I'm ashamed that I played on that tune because it was a complete turkey. It was a complete piece of shit. I remember and to be honest, even though it's a piece of shit, that tune, I should have got a writing credit. Because I remember in rehearsal, Gary James says, "Oh, I've got this song." And he started singing this song, "Jah don't let me down, Jah don't let me down, something another day." I can't remember how it goes. And then so everyone's like standing around, so I start picking out the chords, finding what key he's singing in, and it was minor key, and it was, I think, like A and E minor. So off the top of my head, not having played it in however 30 years or whatever, 25 years, I can remember it. I'm pretty sure it was A and E minor in that order. I'm pretty sure. A minor and E minor. So I started playing the chords, and then Malcolm started, playing, and everyone else joined in, and Malcolm did his bass line, dum 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 dum, and it was just a stodgy, shitty fucking turkey of a bass line, you know what I mean? And it just does that for the whole tune with no change. And I was like, I think maybe we could work on the bass line a bit. Malcolm tells, "No, that's fucking killer, that is. The fucking sound system, I fucking love that." And he starts like waving his hands around like aggressively, right really close to my face. And this is how Malcolm is. This is how Malcolm will act. If you ever challenge Malcolm about a slight little thing, he'll get really aggressive. And he was like, gesturing as if like, "Oh, sound system people like it," but he was like, "Yeah, sound system people like it," and doing it like right to my face, really close. And I was thinking, this guy's just a fucking egomaniac. Total fucking narcissist egomaniac. I'm going to have to get the fuck out of this shit band, because, I noticed that Malcolm was a piece of shit. I thought, by that time, I was already doing the album. The album was going to come out, it was going to be a dub album. Of the recordings that weren't bad recordings, and Malcolm had, I guess Malcolm's previous guitarist had challenged him because he'd got the boot, and then I was drafted in to overdub on every track to wipe out, the traces of the previous guitarist. So, also because I was more suited to the music, let's say. And G. Roy, Gareth Brooks, who was the original co-founder of Goldmaster Records with Malcolm. G very much liked what I did, so I overdubbed on the album. I thought, well, I'm going to do this album, I'm going to overdub the album, and then I'll just, you know, once that's done, I'll, you know, maybe do a few gigs to promote that, and then I'll leave, and then I've got that under my belt. So all these shit white reggae things that I've been involved in, often I've thought, oh, this is a fucking piece of shit. Well, I'll just do that, and then it's, you know, it's like playing with the UK players. That was like hardly a fucking honour for me, you know what I mean? That was really fucking slumming it, and I was like, well, I'll just do as much as I can, so I play everywhere on this little UK reggae scene, you know, and then just get known, and then I have my pick of people to work with, and people just know that I can do the music well, play proper traditional reggae music, which is, you know, not necessarily slavishly copying the Jamaican music, but at least on the par with it. I always thought that we could make music on a par with Jamaican music, and that's why I always hated it when UK people put on a fake Jamaican accent. We don't need to. We don't need to pretend to be them. You know? It's not like we fucking robbed them of this music, you know what I mean? Reggae music is fucking robbed of American soul and American, you know, how many fucking rocksteady tunes are based on an American soul tune? Almost all of them, you know what I mean? And reggae is rocksteady. Anyway, so Goldmaster did this shit tune, it was a real turkey. And I did, and G, some guy said to G at the gig, we did a gig at Subterranea, Rodigan's Reggae, we had a few good gigs. And Rodigan played a track off of that album every week on his radio show, and that never happened. If a new record come out, Rodigan would play it that week, and not again, unless it was became a classic, you know. But when our dub album came out, Rodigan played one track off it every week for 4 weeks running, you know what I mean? He really promoted it. It was embarrassing when we played it at the Subterranea. He did this long, it was like 5 minutes. It went from this big introduction of bigging it up, you know what I mean? And and a lot of people, you know, reggae people were there to see this band who could, you know, can they do it? Can they sound like traditional Jamaican music? And some guy said to G, Gareth Brooks, he said, "Oh, I love that song, Jar Don't Let Me Down." And that's right, he bought the album. He bought a copy of the album, and he says, "Oh, that song's not on there. Why isn't that song on there? That's the best song. That song's amazing." And then because one guy liked the song, G said, "Oh, that's going to be the next single. We're going to put that out as a single." And I was like, "Oh, don't, no. Don't, you know. It's, I can't see it doing well. There's better songs, put it this way, there was a lot better what we had, you know. So I didn't want to put out that as a single, and then they did anyway, and yeah, that guy Bimble picked up, but they've still got boxes and boxes of that single, trust me. Gary himself, the singer on it, Gary James, he sold himself probably over 200 copies of it just from fucking harassing people into buying it. Buy my record, this is my record, buy my record, you know. So Gary sold more copies of that record physically than anyone else. They've still got boxes of that record, you know what I mean? It was a real turkey. It's a shit tune, it's a dull tune, and it's a dull shit tune because it had Malcolm's shit dum 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 artless bass line. And it had that awful shit horns, which is like ba-da, 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 ba-da. And the song's like Jar Don't Let Me Down, and it's all melancholic, and the horns are just like Broadway or something, you know what I mean? It just didn't go. It was artless. It was bad art, and there's enough bad art in the world. We need good art. The world is full of art, and we don't need any more bad art. It was bad art. So this clown Bimble, he's put out his album, New Shoots in Our Roots. He had a backer from somewhere, I don't know. He got someone else to pay the money for it, and so he licensed. I mean, so that song that he licensed off of the Jar Don't Let Me Down song that he licensed off of Goldmaster, Malcolm would have got paid for that, one up front payment of maybe £200 or £500 or £1,000. I don't know how much he got. there was the dub album version. I don't know if you got a separate payment for that. I essentially was the principal writer of the music because I wrote the chords. I was the one who picked out the chords off of Gary's, vocal melody and said these are the chords. And I got nothing, no credit. I didn't, to be honest, I wouldn't have even wanted a writing credit on it because it was such a shit tune. I would be embarrassed to be associated with it, and I'm embarrassed now to admit that I had anything to do with it. It was so shit, but I didn't get any credit and I didn't get any money. I didn't get paid at all.